The world doesn't run on hard work. It runs on strategy. You can grind for decades and still stay broke, because the game was never built to reward effort. It rewards leverage. While most chase money, the powerful chase control. They don't save, they move. They don't spend, they position. The truth? Money isn't the goal. It's the weapon. And the one who learns how to use it never plays by the rules again. Point 1 at the illusion of hard work. They told you hard work always pays off. But that's the biggest lie the system ever sold, because if it were true, every laborer would be a king. You've been programmed since childhood. Work harder than everyone else, and you'll win. Wake up early, stay late, give it everything. And one day success will find you. But look around, who's winning? It's rarely the one sweating the most. It's the one pulling the strings quietly. Hard work is beautiful. It builds discipline. But it's also a trap that keeps billions chasing validation while a few control the game board. The truth is harsh but simple. The world doesn't pay for effort. It pays for impact. There's a silent class divide hidden in the word work. The working class executes the system. The powerful engineer it. One spends their life proving worth. The other spends their time designing leverage. Think about it. The janitor works harder than the CEO. The delivery driver works harder than the investor. But the system doesn't reward movement. It rewards position. Because no one pays you for how hard you try. They pay you for how hard it would be to replace you. That's the unspoken rule of value. And here's where most people fail. They confuse activity with progress. They think motion means momentum. They confuse exhaustion with accomplishment. But the powerful, they stay still until every move matters. It's chess, not checkers. You can move all your pieces and still lose. Or you can move one piece with precision and win the board. The elite don't wake up earlier than you. They don't even work longer hours. They just use leverage. People, information, timing, and perception. Leverage is the ability to multiply your results without multiplying your effort. It's how one decision, one relationship, one strategy can replace a lifetime of labor. Most people grind because they're afraid of stillness. Stillness feels like laziness. But the powerful know in stillness is calculation. It's when you plan your next strike. The average man wants to look busy. The powerful man wants to look mysterious. And there's another layer. Emotional manipulation. The system glorifies hard work because it keeps people predictable. It's easier to control a population that's too tired to think. You can't rebel if you're exhausted. You can't strategize if you're surviving. That's why the world celebrates the hustle, because as long as you're proud of working hard, you'll never notice you're being used. The machine needs movement, not awareness. And awareness is exactly what breaks it. Here's the truth they never tell you. Hard work is step 1, but strategic positioning is step 2, and it's the one that decides everything. If you're working harder every year but staying in the same place, it's not your effort that's failing, it's your strategy. The powerful don't climb ladders, they build them. They don't ask for permission, they make themselves essential. They don't compete for attention, they own the attention, because in this game, perception is currency. The man who appears valuable gets treated as valuable, even before he proves it. That's why the rich never rush. Their calmness signals control. Their silence creates curiosity. And curiosity builds power. You want freedom? Stop chasing money. Start chasing leverage. Learn a skill no one can ignore. Build connections that open rooms you can't buy into. Turn your time into tools, your tools into influence, and your influence into independence. Because when you finally stop running, when you look up and realize the race was never about who works the hardest, that's when you start to play the real game. So ask yourself tonight, are you working hard or are you being worked hard? Because the answer to that question decides everything about your future. Point 2, how the rich think about risk. Most people run from risk like it's death. The rich, they chase it because they know the only thing risk kills is comfort. You've been taught to fear loss. From childhood, the message is drilled into your head. Be careful, stay safe, don't take chances. And that's exactly how the system tames you. They convince you that stability is success, that safety is peace. But in truth, safety is a slow kind of death. It keeps you breathing but never living. The poor play defense. They build walls around what little they have, saving every penny, holding every coin like it's oxygen. But the rich, they play offense. They use money like a weapon, not a shield. While the poor are busy protecting what they earned, the rich are busy multiplying what they risked. Risk for them isn't a gamble. It's a language. They study it, measure it, and use it to navigate chaos. They understand that control doesn't come from avoiding uncertainty. It comes from mastering it. The poor see risk and think, what if I lose? The rich see risk and think, what if I don't move? Every empire, every dynasty, every fortune you know, started with a moment of risk. Not blind chance, but calculated courage. Because the rich don't take stupid risks. They take smart ones. They bet on information. They bet on timing. Most importantly, they bet on themselves. You'll notice something about people who stay broke. They seek guarantees. They wait for the perfect time, the perfect plan, the perfect approval. But perfection doesn't exist in a world that rewards motion. While they wait, the bold move. And by the time the careful ones are ready, the game's already changed. See, risk is a test. It exposes who's ready for power and who's not. The weak avoid it. The strong reshape it. You can't build anything meaningful without stepping into the unknown. The poor think security comes from staying safe. The rich know security comes from creating systems that keep paying them, even when they're wrong once in a while. Let's get darker with it. Fear of risk isn't logical. It's psychological conditioning. Society trains you to fear loss so deeply that you end up building your own cage. You tell yourself you're being responsible, but really you're being controlled. Because the moment you stop taking risks, you stop being dangerous. And the world only respects people who are dangerous, not reckless but capable of chaos. The rich don't love risk, they love control. But they know control comes from walking straight into uncertainty and bending it to their will. That's why they study patterns, not promises. They make moves based on what others can't see yet. While the poor react, the rich anticipate. That's the entire difference between surviving and ruling. Money itself is just energy, and energy has to move. You either direct it or it decays. The rich understand this flow. They move money into businesses, into people, into systems. They make their capital fight for them. And when they lose, they learn. Not emotionally, but strategically. Every failure adds data to their next decision. Meanwhile, the poor lose once and quit. The rich lose 10 times, then strike once and take everything back. Because in the psychology of risk, emotion is your enemy. The moment you let fear steer you, you've already lost control. The powerful play with odds, not emotions. They know risk isn't about chance. It's about control of perception. The one who looks calm in chaos controls everyone who panics. That's why power always feels dangerous. Because it's built by people who made peace with danger long ago. The real difference is this. The poor see risk as exposure. The rich see it as expansion. Every risk the poor avoid, the rich convert into leverage. And over time, those small strategic risks compound into unshakable dominance. So here's the brutal truth. Your fear of risk isn't protecting you. It's robbing you. It's stealing every version of your life that could have been bigger, louder, freer. The price of safety is smallness, and the world doesn't remember the safe ones. It remembers the ones who were willing to lose everything because they believed they could rebuild from nothing. So the next time your fear says, "What if it doesn't work?" answer it like the rich do, "What if it does?" Because that's how every kingdom begins. Not with certainty, but with a single calculated risk that changed everything. Point 3, and we spend to buy position. Power doesn't come from how much money you have. It comes from where your money places you. The poor buy comfort. The rich buy position. You can be the smartest, most talented, most hardworking person in the world, but if you're standing in the wrong room, you'll die unseen. The rich understand this brutal truth. That's why they don't just chase money. They chase placement. Because in this world, who you stand next to matters more than what you can do. Position is silent power. It's the art of being seen by the right people, in the right places at the right time. You'll never hear this taught in schools because schools are designed to make you a worker, not a player. They teach you to earn your way up slowly, step by step. But the rich don't climb ladders. They buy elevators. The poor call it unfair. The rich call it strategy. Think about it. A man can work 20 years in a company and still get ignored. Another man pays to attend a private event, shakes one hand, and his life changes overnight. That's the difference between grinding for permission and buying access. Access is everything. It's how information travels before the public sees it. It's how opportunities get passed quietly, behind closed doors. The poor wait to be chosen. The rich buy their way into the room where decisions are made. And here's the dark psychology behind it. Money isn't just currency, it's a filter. It separates those who think small from those who think strategically. Most people see a $10,000 mastermind or a $5,000 course and say, "That's too expensive." But a wealthy mind sees it and says, "That's an entry ticket to a higher level of the game." Because the rich know proximity is profit. Every level of life has a price tag. The closer you are to people with influence, the more valuable your influence becomes. You don't have to be the smartest person in the room. You just have to be in the right room. Let's get real for a second. Most people waste money trying to look rich. Fancy clothes, new phones, nice cars, all to impress people who have zero power to change their lives. The rich spend to become rich, on access, relationships, and environments that multiply opportunity. A man once paid $25,000 to join a private dinner with investors. Sounds crazy, right? But that single dinner turned into a business deal that made him $2 million. That's not luck. That's positioning. He didn't pay for food. He paid for proximity to power. You see, the poor think networking is about being liked. The rich know networking is about being useful. When they enter a room, they don't try to impress people. They try to align with them. They understand that power doesn't flow to the loudest. It flows to the most strategically placed. Look at history. Kings and rulers didn't just build armies. They built alliances. They bought their safety, their influence, their visibility. Before a war ever started, the powerful already positioned themselves to win. That's how the game is played. Quietly, strategically, before anyone even knows the battle has begun. The poor, on the other hand, are always waiting. Waiting for a promotion. Waiting for recognition. Waiting for an opportunity to appear. But opportunity doesn't appear. Fair's created by those who put themselves where opportunity already lives. Money can't buy happiness, but it can buy placement. And placement buys power. Let me give you a truth few will admit. In this system, access is the new currency. The people with the best access control the flow of information, deals, and influence. That's why the rich invest so heavily in positioning. Because when you're in the right circle, opportunities chase you. When you're in the wrong one, you chase opportunities forever. So ask yourself, where does your money go? Toward comfort or connection? Every dollar you spend is building your environment. And your environment decides your destiny. The poor spend to escape reality. The rich spend to shape it. Position is how you manipulate the board before anyone else moves. It's how you win before the game even starts. When you spend to elevate your position, you stop competing with the masses and start operating with the masters. And here's the Machiavellian truth. Power doesn't reward effort. It rewards presence. The one who's seen as important becomes important. The one who's invisible, no matter how skilled, stays powerless. So stop asking, how can I save more? And start asking, how can I spend strategically to move higher? Because in the modern world, position beats possession. If you're standing next to power, you don't need to fight for it. It flows to you naturally. That's why the rich spend on access, while the poor spend on appearances. One buys leverage. The other buys likes. Remember this rule, the rich don't buy things, they buy placement. They don't buy status, they buy influence. And they don't buy comfort, they buy control. Because once you're in the right room, you don't have to beg for opportunity. You become the opportunity. Point 4. Spend to gain leverage. The poor spend money to survive. The rich spend money to multiply themselves. That's the secret weapon most people never learn. Leverage. You see, there's a reason one man can work 16 hours a day and still struggle, while another barely lifts a finger and earns more in a week than most do in a year. It's not luck. It's not talent. It's leverage. Leverage is the hidden force behind every fortune, the multiplier that turns effort into empires. It's what allows the rich to control the output of hundreds, sometimes thousands, without doing it all themselves. The poor think they're being smart when they say, I'll just do it on my own. But that mindset is exactly what keeps them small. Here's the truth no one tells you. Doing everything yourself is a trap disguised as pride. You think you're saving money. You're actually spending your time, your energy, and your potential. The rich understand something deeper. Every hour spent doing what someone else could do cheaper is an hour stolen from your destiny. If you make $50 an hour and spend 2 hours doing a $10 task, you didn't save $20. You lost $80 worth of opportunity. That's the math the rich live by. That's leverage. They use money to free themselves from tasks that drain their energy. They delegate, automate, and outsource, not because they're lazy, but because they know their time is the highest form of currency. They don't ask, how can I do this? They ask, who can do this for me so I can focus on what matters? Let me tell you something real. The rich aren't smarter than you. They're just better at replacing themselves. They don't try to be the worker, the marketer, the manager, and the cleaner all in one. They build systems that let others do it, while they focus on strategy, relationships, and decisions that actually move the needle. Think about it. Jeff Bezos doesn't pack boxes. Elon Musk doesn't write code anymore. Every empire started with someone doing it all, but stayed alive because they stopped doing it all. The poor call it arrogance. The rich call it efficiency. I once knew a man named Elias. He started an online store from his bedroom, doing everything: designing, marketing, customer support. He bragged about being a one-man army, but after months he was burned out and broke. One day he decided to hire a virtual assistant for $300 a month. Within weeks his sales doubled. Why? Because he finally had time to focus on what really made money: sales and growth. That's leverage. He didn't buy help. He bought momentum. The poor think spending money on help is wasteful. They think doing everything themselves means they're hard-working. But that's not hard work, that's poor math. Leverage is how you turn one person's 24 hours into 100. It's how you make money even while you sleep. And the rich treat it like law. They don't see hiring, automation, or delegation as expenses. They see them as multipliers, because the truth is, you can't become rich trading time for money. There's a ceiling on your hours. There's no ceiling on leverage. Think about the businesses that never sleep. They run 24/7 across continents, fueled by systems, automation, and people who don't even know the owner personally. That's leverage in action. It's invisible, but it's what creates the visible results everyone calls success. And here's the coldest part. Leverage always costs money. The poor avoid it. The rich buy it. That's why the rich grow faster. Because every dollar they spend returns in multiples, not just in profit, but in freedom. Freedom from burnout. Freedom from being replaceable. Freedom from living like a machine. The poor spend to survive the weak. The rich spend to buy decades of peace. And this isn't just about business, it's about life. Think about all the ways you could buy leverage today. Tools that save you hours. People that take over your repetitive tasks. Knowledge that shortcuts years of mistakes. Every one of those is leverage. Most people are too afraid to buy it because they think small. They think, I can't afford help, but the truth? You can't afford to not have it. Because the longer you delay, the longer you stay stuck. Leverage is power. Not loud, not flashy, but strategic. It's how the rich win quietly. They understand the art of command over control. They don't fight every battle. They hire soldiers to fight for them. As Machiavelli once said, a wise ruler never swings his own sword when he can command another to strike. The poor think control means doing everything. The rich know control means directing everything. That's why they spend money to buy leverage. Systems, people, technology, automation. Every dollar they spend builds an army that works for them, even while they rest. If you ever want to break free from the trap of survival, start thinking like that. Stop asking how to save. Start asking, how can I use this money to multiply myself? Because when you buy leverage, you're not just buying tools or time, you're buying power. The kind of power that never sleeps. Leverage is the great equalizer. It's what separates the endlessly busy from the effortlessly powerful. So remember this rule. The poor say, I'll do it myself. The rich say, I'll build a system to do it for me. One stays stuck in motion. The other builds momentum. And in this world, but momentum wins. Point 5, spend to buy time. The poor spend their time to save money. The rich spend their money to save time. Because once a second is gone, no amount of money can buy it back. Here's the thing most people never grasp until it's too late. Time is the real currency. Money can be earned, lost, and made again. Time can't. Once it's spent, it's gone forever. Yet look at how most people live, and wasting days to save a few dollars. They'll drive across the city to save $5, wait hours in lines to grab a discount, or spend weeks learning something they could have learned in an hour from the right mentor. They think they're being smart. In truth, they're going broke in the only currency that actually matters. Their time. The rich, they buy time like it's oxygen. They'll pay for shortcuts, convenience, speed, not out of laziness but out of clarity. They know that every delay has a price. Every hesitation, every I'll do it later silently steals their future. See, the poor think in price. The rich think in cost. Price is what you pay now. Cost is what you lose later if you don't act. A man who refuses to spend $100 to learn a skill that could make him thousands thinks he's saving money. But he just spent months, the one thing he'll never get back. The rich understand this game differently. They don't buy comfort. They buy speed. Because in this world, speed is power. Every opportunity has an expiration date. The slower you move, the more chances you lose. The rich move fast, not because they're reckless, but because they know life rewards the ones who decide quickly and adapt even faster. Here's a truth most won't like. The slow are punished. Opportunities hide from hesitation. The world opens only to the ones who move. Think about the man who hesitates to start his business for years, waiting for the right moment. By the time he's ready, the market's gone. The moment's gone. The chance is gone. That's not bad luck. That's the cost of delay. Meanwhile, another person acts fast, invests, learns, fails, and rises. He moves through 5 failures before the other even starts one. That's the secret edge the rich play with, velocity. Every time the rich spend money, they ask, does this buy me more time or cost me more of it? If it saves them time, they'll pay without blinking. Because they know every minute freed today can multiply into years of power tomorrow. Think about how they live. They hire assistants, automators, managers, drivers, cleaners. Every dollar they spend buys them back hours they can use to create, think, or rest. The poor see that as luxury. The rich see it as leverage on time. There's a story I once heard. A consultant charged $5,000 for a 1-hour session. Someone asked him why he charged so much. He smiled and said, "Because I can save you 5 years." That's how the wealthy think. They don't pay for information. They pay for acceleration. The poor look for free videos, free advice, free fixes, not realizing free is the most expensive choice of all. Because while they're saving money, they're wasting years. You can always earn back lost money. You'll never earn back a lost decade. So here's the uncomfortable truth. If you're still doing tasks that don't require your skill, you're living below your potential. If you're spending hours on things you could pay someone else to do faster, you're not saving. You're shrinking. The rich understand this intuitively. They know time is the great multiplier. The more of it you reclaim, the faster everything else grows. Want proof? Look at how the wealthy live. Their schedules aren't crowded. They're curated. They don't brag about being busy. They brag about being free because in the end, wealth isn't measured by your bank balance. It's measured by how you spend your time. Do you own your hours? Or are you renting them out for someone else's dream? Let's be real. Every cheap choice has hidden costs. The course you skip, the assistant you don't hire, the automation you avoid, each one steals a chunk of your life. You think you're protecting your wallet, but you're bleeding your hours dry. The rich don't chase money for money's sake. They chase time freedom. They understand that when you buy time, you're buying life. Machiavelli would call it the highest form of power, the ability to control your own hours. Because the man who controls his time controls his destiny. The one who doesn't serves someone who does. So if you want to rise, can't stop asking, can I afford this? And start asking, can I afford to keep wasting time on it? Because time is the only thing that can't be replaced, recycled, or recovered. Spend your money to buy it back. Every second you reclaim becomes your weapon, your advantage. The poor die protecting their dollars. The rich live protecting their time. And when you finally learn that difference, your life, your wealth, and your power will start to multiply faster than you ever imagined. Closing in the end, this game was never about money. It was about mastery. Mastery over your time, your choices, your emotions. Because the truth is, money doesn't give you freedom, discipline does. You can't buy peace, but you can earn it by learning how the powerful think. So stop chasing what fades and start building what lasts. The world doesn't need another dreamer. It needs someone who executes. Be that one. Your move.